everyone. Welcome. Happy August. I hope you're having a great month so far. So, this month we are going to take a peek at your next step. Sorry I was a bit late. Little technical difficulties. I kind of forgot how to do Facebook Live. So silly. Okay, so let's talk about next step. In this teaching, hi everybody. In this teaching, there's really three sources of next step information. Your higher self, the Supreme Being, and your Akashic record keeper. So let's talk what those three things are. Your higher self is your soul that lives forever on the astral. The Supreme Being is the one who created the video game that your higher self is playing. And your Akashic record keeper is one of your many guides whose job it is to, well, I'll say it really metaphysically, okay? And whenever I say metaphysically, I'm only talking about three things: energy, information, and contracts. So, let's see, how can I say this the easiest way? In our energy field, our body, chakras, and aura, we have two things: energy and information, or pictures. You call them pictures because when I clairvoyantly look at you, it looks like a picture. Okay? So, some of the pictures we get from our society, right? We might call it programming. But hopefully, that we have pictures from our contracts in our energy field. So, and if we did, if we had a lot of the little bits of information that are in our body, chakras, and aura, if they are from our contracts, then life is easy to live. Let me give you the opposite of that so you understand. When I was young, I got pictures from my parents, my society, my school, my church that said I will be a Christian wife and mother. So I had all this information in my field. I had no contracts for any of that. So life was hard until I released those and started pulling more of those pictures into my field from my contracts. Now that's what the record keeper is supposed to do. Okay? They take the, hang in there with me, they take the pictures that we're done with out of our field and file them away in our records. And then they pull new pictures and install them. Now, hopefully a majority of those pictures are from our current contracts, but there's also from other lives. Where, like, let's say that you were raised to do XYZ, and you had a lot of XYZ programming in your field. All of a sudden, your higher self writes a contract for ABC. So as you're releasing the XYZ, so that you'll do the ABC, and your record keeper's pulling them out, taking them away, filing them. They'll also go to other lifetimes where you ABC'd, and they'll pull those too and shove them in your space and say, okay, now ABC. Okay? That's why we say that the Akashic record keeper is one of the sources of your next step, because they have access to your contracts. Okay, now, it's interesting. You might wonder, well, why are there three sources? Well, they all have different points of view, right? The Supreme Being probably has a much more general view, right, of your next step, versus your higher self, who might have a lot of investment in your next step. And the record keeper, what would I say? I feel they're very neutral too. Okay, so I guess I'm supposed to ask all three of those sources. Now, one of the things I've noticed that when I do that, they're kind of similar. They might have a similar thread running through them, but it's just keep in mind that it's from their different perspectives. And of course, you don't have to do anything. If your higher self says, this is your next step, that doesn't mean you have to do it. Right? Let's talk about free will really quickly. So, our higher self's free will is to put its name on and off any contract that it wants to. And there are a whole bunch of contracts. You, on the earth plane, get to choose which contract you want to live through. That's your free will. So just when you hear what the Supreme Being, your higher self, and your record keeper say is your next step, you get to decide. Okay? So don't think that these are your final marching orders. They may not be. Okay? So that's what we're going to look at today. I forgot to tell you that, remind you, that you might get spammed. Okay, I know, I think last month somebody made a Facebook page that looked so, I couldn't find the difference between their Facebook page and my Facebook page. But just know that we never contact you. I'm not going to DM you and say, hey, I've got a reading for you, or no. The only thing we reach out with is our email blast that happens at the beginning of each month. We don't ever do anything else. So if you get some message that seems like it's coming from me or from Golden Rose, please pay it no mind. Every once in a while I'll get an email and say, hey, are we talking on Facebook Messenger right now? I'm like, no, we're not. So just be careful. One other thing I really need is I need some healing requests. Now, if you've been here before, you know this routine. My advanced clairvoyant students, part of their training is to give healings. And there's a way for you to request a healing from them, and I'll just drop the link in here. Okay? Let me make sure that's the right one. Yes. And you don't get any communication back from them. They're not going to email, because we don't even take your email address. They're not going to email you and tell you what they saw as they were clairvoyantly looking at you and working on you. But you will get a healing. And you can fill out as many of those as you want for whoever you want. We just need the name of the person who needs the healing, and then a little hint of what the healing. You could just put general healing if you want to. Okay, so now that's all the nitty gritty. Let's get to the fun stuff. Okay, let me spin the Sandy Dew. Hi, Sandy. Now let's see what in the heck are, I'll say this, your potential next steps should you choose to. Okay, hang on, let me get regrounded. Your record keeper is right here. Let me talk to them. Okay, this is mental. Okay, let me see if I can. It's yellow. Anytime I see something yellow, it has the energy of mentality. I think it's brainstorming. That's what I think it is. So let's talk about what brainstorming is when I say it, and then I'll try to see what it is you're supposed to brainstorm. Brainstorming means just to throw ideas out without thinking of how those ideas could be made manifest or anything like that. So it's kind of like a wish list, maybe. So now that we know that, let's see what you're supposed to brainstorm on. Well, this is kind of weird. Personal development. If somebody told me that, oh, Loren, you're supposed to brainstorm about your personal development. I'm so logical. What I might do is I might go chakra by chakra. It's like personal development. What does that even mean to me? Right? So the first chakra is about food, shelter, clothing, and health. The second chakra is about sex and emotion. The third chakra is our will. It's our ego. It's our competition. It's our career. It's our sense of self. When I say ego, I mean sense of self. The heart chakra is relationships. The throat chakra is communication. The sixth chakra is perception and clairvoyance. And the crown chakra is knowingness and the connection to the Supreme Being. So if somebody said to me, hey, Loren, your Akashic record keeper says you're supposed to brainstorm on your personal development, I might be like, okay, well, I've got to go at this logically. What about food, shelter, clothing, and physical health? What are some of the things I want to improve in that part of my life? And again, you don't have to figure out how to do it, Sandy. That's not it. And then the sex and emotion. How am I feeling emotionally? Maybe I should seek out a counselor or, whatever. And it's also, second chakra is also extremely creative. It's the desire chakra. So you might want to brainstorm some of your desires. Like, what do you want? And I get a big hit on that. My sister-in-law, we went to high school together. She married my brother in high school. And they didn't get married in high school, but they met in high school. And she worked her whole life at the grocery store, Union and all that. And she retired from the grocery store. And so I asked her, I said, so what are you going to do now? And she goes, I don't know. And I said, well, what do you want to do? And she says, I don't know. Yikes. In your 50s and not know what you really want to be when you grow up? So desires. Okay, so that's what your record keeper says. Let's see what your higher self says. Wow. Prioritize the list. Okay, I've got something that will help. So I do this tarot. You guys might have heard me talk about this before. I call it my weekly roundup. So I did it yesterday. I do it on Sundays, where I write down the different parts of my life. For you, Sandy, it's going to be these things you put on that list. Oops. Sorry. That's my phone. Let me silence it. And so I write it down, and it's usually a dozen things. Projects I'm working on. I put my health, my finances, my cats. Put my cats on there. And then I pull a card for each one, right? So I understand what the energy is of these different parts of my life. And then I hold on to the cards that I pulled, and I push the rest of the deck away. And then I ask my guides to help me prioritize these different things. And really what I'm trying to do is to know what to work on that week. Have you ever tried to work on something and it's really difficult and you can't get it finished and you don't really know what you're doing, versus sitting down and going, like if you're writing a paper or something, you're like, oh, brrr, done, I'm done. So that's what I'm trying to avoid, is to be working on a certain part of my life that's not ready yet. So for you, Sandy, your record keeper says brainstorm personal development. Your higher self says prioritize those things you put on the list. And that might be a way to do it. Another way you could do it is, like, let's say you end up with 7 things because you have 7 chakras, okay? Write on little pieces of paper 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Put them in a hat. Pull out. This is the one I'm supposed to work on. Okay, so prioritize them. Now let's go to the Supreme Being and see what it's. This is what I mean. It said be happy. So, if we put them all together, brainstorm personal development, prioritize them, and the aim from the Supreme Being standpoint is happiness. So what would make your first chakra happy? What would make your second chakra happy? Right? And you can, if you don't know what the chakras hold, you can look online, like the things I just rattled off. Yeah. So if we kind of pulled back from that, right, it's really time for you to focus on yourself, my friend. Okay? It's time to focus on yourself and the things you want to develop in yourself that lead to happiness. Ta-da! I wove the thread through. All right. Okay, so that's what you got, Sandy. Thanks for popping in. Okay, let's go with Michelle Hinkman. I don't know if I'm saying that right, my friend, but you know it's you. Okay. And again, we're doing your next step from your Akashic Record Keeper, your higher self, and the Supreme Being. Let me get regrounded here. Okay, let me talk to your Record Keeper. It's about childhood stuff. Pulling forward what you can use and leaving the rest behind. And when I pull at that thread, Michelle, what I feel like, what might be beneficial is to dwell on the good memories of your childhood. Because when I talk to when I move my awareness to your higher self, and this is probably true of all of us, in those happiest moments of childhood, where we didn't have any worries, where maybe it was Christmas morning, we got a bunch of good stuff, you were more a genuine reflection of your higher self. In those moments of childhood where everything came together for you. Okay? So we'll ask your record keeper to really highlight the pictures in your field that are from the highlights of your childhood, and to remove the ones that don't do you any good. Your higher self says that in doing that, you become a more genuine reflection of your higher self, that high vibrating, childlike, anything is possible being. Okay? Now I can't wait to see what the Supreme Being says. Don't take life so seriously. Don't take it seriously. It's hard for us because part of our higher self connects into the body. And there's this constant pull between the competition of the body and the competition of the part of the soul that comes into the body. You know, like the first chakra, for example. Right? It wants to survive. It will do just about anything to survive. Unless the part of our higher self that comes in can control that. In other words, the animal is programmed to stay alive. So it takes things very seriously because it's not going to last, right? Bodies are going to pass away, but the soul is eternal. The part of our higher self that comes in just leaves, goes back to its original form. Ta-da! I did another lifetime, right? So when the supreme being says, "Oh, don't take life so seriously," the reason that's difficult is because we're pulled to the body. The body has its say, and the part of our higher self that comes into our body has a completely different viewpoint of that. So what I might do is I might tell my body it's gonna die. There's no way around it. Nope. Dust to dust, right? No way around it. It will die. But the important part is how it lives. So becoming that joyful child that is a genuine reflection of your higher self for as long as the body can exist. So good luck. Good luck with that one. I guess what I would really get out of it is be grateful, be joyful, expect the unexpected, wonderful Christmas gift under the tree, right? In other words, a miraculous event is possible around every corner. See how much of that energy you can muster. Yeah. Maybe another thing is to tell your body, hey, enjoy it while you're alive, right? Because you ain't always going to be, I'm going to be alive forever, but not you, body. Okay. I hope that helps. Okay. Let's spin the Wheel of Fortune. Sayer. Hey, my friend. Okay, so we're doing next steps from 3 sources. I'm not sure when everybody got in here, so I'm just kind of reviewing so you know what I'm reading. We're going to ask the Akashic Record Keeper, the higher self itself, and the Supreme Being what each of them thinks we should do next. But then again, like I said, you don't have to do it because it's your life. Okay, let's go to your record keeper. Okay, this is about little things, little details. Don't worry about them. Okay, so let's see what that means. There's little teeny tiny things that run under bigger things. I think this, paint with a big paintbrush. Okay, so let me tell you a story. I remember one of the last engineering jobs I had. Well, actually, I remember the second to the last engineering job I had. It was terrible. There was all this weird undertow, emotionally and mentally sick people running, just this blah. You guys have probably had jobs like that or been in groups like that for some reason. You had to be. And I didn't know what I was doing, right? I didn't have any energy tools. I didn't understand what I think I understand now. But I wanted a new job. And I just decided, you know what? I'm going to paint it with a big brush. I'm not going to get involved in the details. Like, I don't even care if I'm a dog catcher. I don't care. Right? I want to work with people that love and respect me, and I love and respect them. I want, of course, enough money to pay for what I need and want. I want to be able to see outside, because a lot of engineering jobs are in the middle of the building in a lab, and you don't get to see outside, right? So I really wanted to be able to see outside or be outside, and because I live in Southern California, I wanted the commute to be easy. So I just started affirmations. saying these things over and over and over while I was putting my resume everywhere. Okay. And the job I ended up getting, it was actually the third and second to the last engineering jobs. I had one more after that. But this second one that I'm talking about, the one that manifested because I was painting with a big brush, I showed up. I didn't even really realize what the job was, but I could tell I got it in the interview. So they said, oh, I showed up and they said, okay, here's the keys to your SUV. Here's your company credit card. Here's your cell phone and your Palm Pilot. That's how long ago it was. Here's your laptop. And we need you to be in Dallas, Fort Worth tomorrow. I was like, what? So, if I would have been doing affirmations saying, I want a Palm Pilot, I want a cell phone, I want a laptop, I want to travel, I want an SUV, I didn't even know that was possible. Okay, so Sayer, for you, from your record keeper's standpoint, paint with a big brush on the things you want to change in your life. I guess what I'm saying is I went for the energy that I wanted to be in, knowing that my higher self could write many different contracts that would match that energy. But I didn't want to tie my higher self's hands by saying, I have to have a Palm Pilot. It's a Palm Pilot. I never even used it. I'm so silly, but I had a Palm Pilot. So paint with a big brush, right? When you're, I guess what I'm trying to say is when you're trying to manifest something, manifest it with the energies that you want to be in and let your higher self have a lot of leeway. Okay, so don't get bogged down in the details. Paint with a big brush. Okay, now let's go to your higher self and let's say, yeah, it agrees. And I'll tell you why. Because your higher self has written, just like all of us, your higher self has written a lot of contracts, but because we get so tunnel visioned, we don't even know that's a possibility. So we don't even, one of two things happens to us. The higher self writes this fantastic contract. We do realize it. Somebody comes up to us and offers us something, and we're like, oh no, I couldn't do that. Oh no, I couldn't do that. Right? Or we're so tunnel visioned in how we think our lives should manifest. I don't know if I said that right. That we don't even see that person coming with the offer. We turn this way. Oop. Okay? So your higher self agree, meaning that it's writing a lot of contracts that you, up until this point, don't know is possible. So paint with a big brush. Now let's go over to the Supreme Being and see what it says. Okay. Take a deep breath. What do I want to say? You have a lot more life to live. And you know, I'm getting to the age now where, how would I say it? Like if I'm talking to somebody that's substantially younger than me, that 20, 30, 40, I'm like, oh my God, you got so much more time and you're not even going to be the same person. You know? So I understand the Supreme Being saying that. And you have a lot more life to live. So paint with a big brush. Describe to yourself and, you know, in your affirmations or meditations or contemplations, your hopes and dreams. Paint with a big brush. You want to be loved. You want to be healthy. You want to be materially cared for, right? Paint with a big brush and be on the lookout, because your higher self, just like all of us, is writing contracts for things you don't even know are possible. All right? Thanks for popping in. I hope everything's going well. Okay, time to spin the Wheel of Fortune. Sue! Hi, Sue. I just finished your crystal reading, by the way. I think I'll be done with them today and send it over. She's part of a crystal focus group that I do. So anyway, let me get regrounded here. Just, okay, everybody says I'm ready. Okay, so we're gonna go to your record keeper first. Let bygones be bygones. Hmm. Okay, I have a few things to say about that. Let's start with forgiveness, but let's talk about it in a different way. So, in my life, like everybody, I have been wounded. And I had probably have wounded a lot of people. If I set my intention, and again through meditation, contemplation, um, wishing, that when that wound happened and I was changed and the other person was changed, what if we exchanged the energy that we're each holding on to that really belongs to the other person? So when I say forgive, I'm not talking about like in your head and in your heart going, oh, okay, I know they hurt me. I'm just going to let it go. I'm not talking about that. I'm talking about being in favor for giving the energy back, for giving. Another way of saying it is energetically separating from the person that's wounded you or that you've wounded. It's done. It's over. Let's separate out. Whatever you took from me in that wound, whatever I took from you, I'm giving it back. Let's see what your higher self says. You've left a lot of yourself with other people in these wounds. And I also feel that you've left part of yourself that maybe they're not holding on to, but is still not reintegrated into you. So, this is about calling our energy and information back through time and space that other people are holding on to, or that we just left in limbo. Like, think about your first day at formal school, right? Maybe you left part of yourself there. So, from your higher self's perspective, and because I know you're trained the way I am, golden suns, my friend, golden suns. Call yourself back into an imaginary golden sun over your head and crack it on your head and bring it right back in. Yep. Reintegrate those parts of you. Let's see what the Supreme Being says. Together we stand, united we fall. So call yourself back. And you don't have to remember, but call yourself back. I guess what if I could get my arms all the way around it, it's reintegrating the parts of you that were left behind. That's it. That's your next step, should you choose to do it. Okay, let's spin the Wheel of Fortune. Daylene, hi, my friend. Daylene's in the same part of the world I am. Okay, hang on. Let me get regrounded. Oh, okay. Let's see. Okay, we're ready. Let me. Talk to your record keeper. Okay, how do I describe this? Zippity doo dah, zippity yay. That's what your hired. That's what your record keeper said. It's singing that kids song, that Disney song, right? So it's about being carefree. Um, See if you can muster carefreeness. Maybe one way you could do it is just say to yourself you don't care. I mean, literally. Somebody comes up to you and goes, "Oh, this happened to me and I'm struggling with this." And in your head, you're like, "I don't care. I don't care." I mean, I know that might sound callous, but play with it. Think of it as an energetic experiment. And again, you don't have to say it out loud, right? You witness something. I don't care. Carefreeness. Maybe this is why your record keeper said it. Because maybe you're taking on other people's stuff. And I know as sensitive light workers that everyone who's listening to my voice is. It's hard, especially when you see what is perceived as injustice, right? Like a man yelling at his wife and maybe even slapping her across the face, right? We energetically knee jerk, but that's what their higher selves have contracted in. That's it. Okay? So just practice and see how it shifts your space. Because according to your record keeper, the less you care about other people's contracts that you have no control over, the happier you are. But I bet it's going to take some time. I know if that was my message, I'd be like, "Well, what about the little doggies and the little kitties?" Right? Yeah, but play with it. Just entertain and see if you can work your way all the way to zippity doo dah, zippity yay. I don't know. Let's go to your higher self. It's kind of a message that we got before. You have to focus on yourself now. Absolutely. And I can see why your record keeper said, "Don't care." And really what that means is be neutral, right? It's like, oh, that's what those two people have decided to do together. Okay. Zippity doo dah. Okay, so focus on yourself. Let's go to the highest energy. Oh, this is so sweet. Um, Whenever I get a message like this, I never can fully communicate it, right? So I'm gonna try, but what I'm about to say and the way it's going to make you feel, Daylene, is not at all, won't at all do the communication I got justice. The Supreme Being loves you so much. You know, it's like, it loves and honors you so much. So, if we put all of them together, it's really time for you not to let anybody rain on your parade. That's it. Oh, we got a spammer. It just popped up. I just saw it. So, yeah, you guys, great psychic readers, probably not that. Anyway, Daylene, I hope that helps you. Okay? And again, I really couldn't communicate the love the Supreme Being is trying to communicate to you. I've done this before in readings where I'm like, okay, I'm going to try, but it's not going to translate the way I got it. I'm not going to be able to give it to you the way I got it. So, All right. So please do ignore great psychic reader, and I'll um, block them and report them when we're done. I know it's distracting, but it's distracting me because I can't find all the. Mary Pugh. Hi, my friend. Pew. Okay, P-E-W. All right, hang on. Let me get regrounded. Okay, we're ready. Okay, I'm going to talk to your record keeper. This is all about growth. Growth, growth, growth. Okay, let's see what I'm supposed to tell you about growth. Okay, this is interesting. While you're growing in one part of your life, you may not realize it, but that's growing other parts of your life. So focus on one thing. Okay? Now is not a time like how we were talking about the seven chakras in the first reading with Sandy. Yeah, each chakra. No. One thing, that one part of your life that you're interested in expanding, growing. The rest will come along with it. So now's the time to be a specialist. Pick one thing, and everything else moves along with it. Okay? Now let's see what your higher self says. Pretty much the same thing. I would, when I try to wrestle with how to communicate what it told me, I would say just about the same thing. Being singularly focused right now. Push one ball forward and more balls go with it. And I don't know how you guys feel, but I kind of like to swap back and forth between being singular focused, because I do like that. I do like to just stay concentrated on one thing. But then I also like keeping a lot of balls in the air. So anyway, for you, Mary, pick a part of your life that you're stimulated in, right? Not like a disciplined, oh, I've got to lose 30 pounds. No, something that piques your interest, piques your curiosity, and move forward with it, because a lot more moves with it than you realize. Okay? Now let's go up to the Supreme Being and see what it says. Pretend. That's interesting. Pretend. So, maybe if I say this, I'll be able to get more on what that means. Don't you think it's interesting how children pretend stuff? Animals pretend stuff. That's such an interesting thing. I mean, I wonder what happens to our brain when we're pretending. Well, for one thing, see, I knew more would come if I said it out loud, that my curiosity about pretending. For one thing, it goes right back to that energy that there's a lot more possible than this world offers, right? So, if we put it all together, it's probably best to daydream in one area where you're really interested. What are the possibilities? Almost go down the rabbit hole. And I do think it nudges up against anything is possible. That seems to be kind of a reoccurring theme with you folks today. Anything is possible. Any miraculous event could happen that could change, has the potential to change everything. And when I pull at that thread, this is probably ascension energy that we're talking about. Sometimes, of course, all my friends are very like-minded, But I could see when I start talking about, well, what if this reality changed so much, right? That there's no war, there's no money, there's no hierarchy. And then everybody, I could see it would be easy to push back. Well, how would you think that would work? I don't know. Because I've never lived in a reality that I remember that was like that. But wouldn't that be great? So, pretend. Stay singularly focused. Daydream. Grab one daydream and run with it for a couple weeks. And watch what gets pulled along with it. Okay? Very interesting. Okay. Brett. Hi, Brett. Okay. Let me get repositioned here. Let's see. Okay, we're ready. Let's talk to your record keeper. Now's the time to switch from growth through conflict to growth through curiosity. And what I feel that means is make changes just because you can, not because you have to. So, as I was just talking about the ascension, right? And right now on the planet, we do get growth through conflict. The wounded healer that all of you are, right? But what if we shifted and changed just to shift and change? Like, try something new, dress differently, right? Color your hair a different color. Just for the experience of change itself, not waiting until you're forced to change. So, I guess again, maybe what we're talking about is what I call energetic experiments, right? Maybe think about little things you can change that don't need to be changed. It's not that somebody came up to you and go, hey, you need to, some external authority come and tell you, you need to do this. Just change. And see what it's like. And maybe notice the difference between having to change because there's either an internal or external conflict versus I just want to change. I don't know why. I just want to change. So play with that a little bit. Okay? Because your record keeper suggests moving from growth through conflict to growth through curiosity. Let's see what your higher self says. Your nervous system needs a break from conflict. That's interesting. Your nervous system. Maybe do some grounding exercises if it resonates with you. Breath work, I don't know about your guys' bodies, but breath work really calms this. I think I live in a horse. Plus, I'm a Sagittarian, so it's kind of a fitting thing. I live in a horse, right? And this horse will go off, in a full gallop, right towards anxiety, right into stress, right? It loves it. And I'm like, whoa. So if I breathe Loren a certain way, Loren has a really hard time being a charging stallion. So maybe try that. Okay. And then about the grounding exercise, just Google grounding exercises. There's tons of. Oh, here, I can help you. Wait, I have a link for that. Hang on. You guys know I post this a lot. It's some energy work. It's free. Let's see, where is it? I have all my links pretty easy to access here. Where is that guy? Oh, here it is, right here in front of my face. Yeah, Brett, this might help you. Hang on, let me get back to Facebook. And anybody can download these. These are just a few classes that the tools you learn in the classes I'm posting change my entire life. Even if I wouldn't have left engineering, those what you learn in those classes, it changed everything for me. Okay, now let's go up to the Supreme Being. Okay. So you know the horizon, right? When you're looking at the horizon, the Supreme Being is suggesting, or from its perspective, you could go higher than the horizon. That's an interesting image to me. Maybe the conflict that's fussing your nervous system keeps you from seeing a little bit higher. So try those classes. I'm just going to say try those classes. If you haven't already downloaded them from my website, give it a go. Oh, Alexandria, let me give you my breath work. Oh, it's so complicated. And I just inhale to the count of 5 or 6 and inhale and push my tummy out to the count of 5 or 6, and then exhale and pull my tummy in to the count of 5 or 6, and then inhale, pushing my tummy out to 5 or 6, and then exhale, pull my tummy in. And if I breathe Loren that way for like 2 or 3 minutes, chill pill. Now, there are a lot of really complex breath techniques where you stand on one foot, plug one nostril, face a full moon, right? But this one just works really great for me. So, all right. I'm going to wrap it up here. Remember, it's the first Monday of every month. If you're on my email list or on this Facebook page, I try to remind you. But, it's the first Monday at 11. All right, everyone. Until next month, we'll call it a healing. Bye. Thanks for the opportunity. I sure do appreciate it.